when we talk about settler violence, it's important that you understand that the story didn't start yesterday, not in '94, already in 1980. Yeah, we have the invasion into Beit Hadassah in '79. Already in 1980, we have appeals to the Supreme Court about settler violence, but the Attorney General promises that law will be enforced on the settlers, and this is the problem. Yeah, the problem is not that you have 500 mad settlers who live in Hebron. The story is how a whole government does nothing to enforce law. Numbers in Hebron today: 180,000 Palestinians, 800 to 900 settlers, 650 combat soldiers who guard them on a daily basis. 180,000 Palestinians, 800 to 900 settlers, 650 combat soldiers who guard them on a daily basis. And then the question comes, how come the law is not enforced? And this is where we get to answer this story. And in a way, the lack of law enforcement in the West Bank is built in the law. I know that what I'm saying now sounds absurd for you. I'll explain what I mean. We are now not in Israel. We are in an area under military occupation. The sovereign power is the Israeli military, not the Israeli government. Israel never claimed sovereignty over this area. Even the most right-wing government that Israel ever had, which is the present government, never claimed sovereignty over this area. With all the historical connection, with all Hebron being Hebron still, we didn't claim sovereignty over this area. So the sovereign power is the military here. By international law, by Israeli law, the military is obligated to protect all inhabitants. But the orders that we get on the ground as soldiers are, we are here to protect the settlers. If we see a settler attacking a Palestinian, that's the job of the police, not ours. The police is there to enforce law on settlers. Our problems as breaking the silence here if the tours are not from Palestinians, are from the settlers. That's why you have the settlers in the occupied territories created a constitutional problem. Why? Because, from one hand, this is an area under Israeli military sovereignty, yeah? That means military law is the rule here, but you have Israeli civilians who live here, which according to Israeli law, should have the rights that every Israeli has inside Israel. But they don't live inside Israel. But they're ruled by an Israeli branch of government. So they are under military law. Think for a second, if I'm an Israeli civilian being trialed under military law, you have a problem because you have a branch of the Israeli government putting me in a trial under a legal system that doesn't give me the rights that I deserve to get as an Israeli citizen. And that's why what we have is that the Central Command General, who is the sovereign power over the West Bank, and the Southern Command General, who is the sovereign power over Gaza back then, signed a military order subcontracting the Israeli police to deal with Israelis and enforce Israeli civil law under the military supervision in the occupied territory. So as an Israeli civilian, I walk in the West Bank and there's a bubble of Israeli law around me. The land that I stand on doesn't have the Israeli law, but I have the Israeli law around on me. Okay, so we basically have one area with two groups of people, two communities who are under different legal system, enforced by two different branches of government. Army, martial law on Palestinians, Israeli police, Israeli law on Israeli civilians. Now, of course, there is a huge difference between military law and civil law. Yeah? If I throw stones at a Palestinian, he throws stones back at me, we're both arrested, let's assume. I committed a criminal offense, he committed a terrorist offense. If they want to keep me in custody within 24 hours, they need to bring me in front of a judge. If they want to keep him in custody, they have 8 days before they bring him in front. Yeah? A lot of very, and this is just the basic differences. Palestinians need to feel that they never know when it's going to come, how it's going to look like, who is going to do it, when it's going to end, yeah? The army is always here. It's to do what we call in the military, to create the feeling of being chased. 1994, right after the Golstein massacre, the vegetable wholesale market, which is the next road surrounding the meat market, becomes a sterile zone. But this market is still functioning. Yeah, the photo you have here in the back is from 1999. And actually post-2000 it becomes even a bigger market. So like bus stands in the street here. Until March 2001. What happens in March 2001, you remember? Shalavet Pass is murdered by a Palestinian sniper. right after the murder of Shlomo Paz, settlers come here, destroy the market. The army comes, barbed wires, both ends, closed military zone, neither Palestinian nor Israelis are allowed to enter. A year and a month later, a settler is stabbed here in the square. 2 days after, IDF bulldozers come, clean the leftovers of the market, and the road is open only for settlers. Okay, this is also part of the dynamics in the city. After every terrorist attack, the way to calm down the settlers, make sure their revenge attacks are not too harmed, are not too violent, is you give them another street, another alley, yeah? That's part of the dynamics here in the city. One of the most interesting parts of this story is the shops right behind. These shops are part of the vegetable market. 2001, March 2001, Shlomo Paz is murdered. 9 separate families break into 13 shops here. And they turn it into houses. You can see some leftovers, yeah? A house. A few months after the invasion, eviction orders are put on the walls. This is an illegal invasion. Settlers are taken out only in February 2006. What happens from March 2001 till February 2006? Why does it take so long? And this is, I think, where we get a bit to, let's try to go into the head, into the mindset of the Brigadier General in Hebron. Yeah, this is a place under military sovereignty. He's like God, he's the legislator, he's the judiciary branch, he's the executive branch, he's everything. Yeah, that's the meaning of military regime. He's a career general in the IDF. He got the assignment to be the Brigadier General of Hebron. That's the worst job you can get in the army. So much politics, so much mess, who needs it? But, you're a career general and that's what you got, so you can't say no. So you start your shift here, your mission here for 2-3 years, and what you hope is just, swim through these 2-3 years without too much of a problem, hoping that there's not going to be so much mess in your time here. Basically what you want is a peaceful situation. You want quiet. How you create a peaceful situation? Very simple. Palestinians you push aside. No one will come after you for that. Settlers do something. You don't confront them, because confronting them will create mess. The next day you'll call to parliament and ministers and who knows, who needs this? And the media and TV and no one wants this, right? It's going to harm your career. Now, this is not something I'm taking out of nowhere. Let's follow the story of the wholesale market. So around June 2001, there is eviction orders. Why the hell the settlers are not evacuated? And they were taken out only in 2006. So 2002, 2003, the question comes to the military, why you're not evacuating the settlers? And you know what the answer is? Look, guys, there's too much terror in town. We have X amount of soldiers. We need to devote our forces to deal with terror. I can accept. Being here those times, those days, I remember. Makes sense. You have only X amount of soldiers. You want to use them where you really need urgently.